We're with Kevin Wallace, and we're going to show you some giant deer. You're going to like this. Oh my gosh, and he's a yearling. Look at that deer. I've been to a lot of operations, but I've never seen something like this.
The thing that sets Wallahachie Whitetails apart is the turnkey product. If you look around at all the people that are successful raising animals and their family on the farm, they truly love what they do and are good quality, honest people. We're looking every day to meet the needs and desires of the breeding industry. And, I want to be towards the top. That's where we're after.
This program is dedicated to the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces. May God bless America. Today's Americans are more disconnected with nature than any time in history. This disconnect has led to a society that is unaware of the importance of conservation of our natural resources. Fortunately, there are modern-day heroes who are still in touch with nature, and they work to protect wildlife and wildlife habitat for future generations. Those stories are told here on Keith Warren's Deer and Wildlife Stories. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance, Schrade Knives, New Dart, the North American Deer Farmers Association, DNA Solutions and North American Deer Registry, Record Rack, Whitetails Sales and Service, Bad Boy Mowers and Multi-Terrain Vehicles, and the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance Foundation.
I know, you hear all the time they grow them big in Texas, and you know what, that's true. But we're in Sooner country. We're in Oklahoma right now at Wallahachie Whitetails. Let me tell you something. They grow them really big here.
We're located in central Oklahoma, approximately 22 miles east of I-35. Some people describe this as the big oak timber, but we've got rolling hills, pasture land, oaks, and a little bit of a mix of everything. We are a trophy whitetail breeding operation. We focus on the best genetics money can buy, and then couple that with animal health, nutrition, age, and selective breeding. The thing that sets Wallahachie Whitetails apart is the turnkey product. From day one, the animals are DNA'd, vaccinated, they're registered, they're taken well care of. There's no second guessing about what any animal is.
I've been to a lot of operations, but I've never seen something like this. Explain what this is, Kevin.
Those are clothesline clips. You hang your clothes up with them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I know what that is, but no, I mean, why are they there?
If we have a male fawn, we put on a blue clip. We have a female, we put on the red. And then the yellows are the females that have been taken out of this pen. So each day as we walk, as we look for new fawns, we also verify all the fawns are there. I can walk up this pen and I know there's 6 buck fawns in it right now, and there's 1 doe fawn in it right now, and I've pulled 4 doe fawns out for bottle feeding.
And you'll notice that they do not have any blue tags that are pulled out to be bottle fed. There are no bucks that are bottle fed.
Well, you know, Mother Nature has a way of taking care of itself, and I personally feel that the mother does a better job at raising them than we do. All the bucks stay on the moms, and the ones that are strong, they'll survive. The ones that are weak, Mother Nature takes its course. I feel the majority of all deer farmers, #1, have a love for nature and, of course, the animal. And if you don't love what you're doing, you're not going to be successful at it. If you look around at all the people that are successful raising animals and their family on the farm, they truly love what they do and are good quality, honest people.
All right, tell me what this is now. I know that this is a guillotine gate, and the purpose of this is so the deer will run through here and you catch them on either side, but what is this hanging down?
During the summer, we raise these guillotines, and this is actually has pesticides on it, permethrin, mineral oil. As the deer go through, they actually put just a little bit on their coat. The mineral oil will help it stick to their coat, then therefore we keep the ticks, the flies, gnats, insects off of them, and just makes their life a little more relaxed and enjoyable.
That's awesome. I may have to try that on my place.
Well, number one, anybody that's interested in getting into raising deer, go around and visit farms. Join your state organizations, which each state has one, and the national, the DEFA, North American Deer Farmers. And the key thing about if you decide to raise deer that you like the looks of. Whatever it is that you like. Some people like long tines, some people like width, some people like mass. But go after deer that you like the looks of, because odds are if you like it, someone else does too.
Coming up next on Deer and Wildlife Stories.
You have some outstanding yearlings, but there's one in there that's a real standout. Oh my gosh, and he's a yearling. Look at that deer.
We'll be right back.
Brought to you in part by Wildlife Research Center, Beyond 99%.
Being a breeder isn't just someone that's got deer in a pen. We have a turnkey package where we vaccinate, DNA, weigh all the animals at birth. We collect a lot of data. We take very good care of the animals, and strive to have the perfect deer.
You have some outstanding yearlings, but there's one in there that's a real standout. Tell me about that.
That buck's name's actually a Shack. He's a Maxwell Dream son. We haven't had him officially scored yet. Had numerous people by here to look at him and feel that he'll be around 240 inches, but we are going to have him scored when we take him down and collect semen after breeding season this year. I'm very excited about him. He's actually out of a doe called Millie, and was born here on my farm, and I believe that this is going to be the up-and-coming breeder here for Wallahachie Whitetails.
Oh my gosh, and he's a yearling. Look at that deer.
I think that this is going to be the ticket.
I'd take that ticket any day. That's a good deer right there. All of them are good.
Thanks.
Ooh.
Thank you very much. I think the industry is definitely going to be growing. There's a lot of interest these days. A lot of people are getting exposure through Keith's show that didn't realize that you can raise deer. I believe the industry in the next 5 years will probably double.
Pins are so manicured, nice and pretty.
Well, we try to keep them all picked up, and then we mow them throughout the summer to keep the grass fairly short, new growth. The deer really like that. But one thing we really have to focus on is making sure all the limbs are up before we mow.
Let me
and we
guess.
keep them mowed.
Today's the day.
Well, there's a couple that fell out last night with the wind, so we got to get them picked up.
I can do that.
All right, thanks.
Lots of deer farmers all over the country, and how do I tell who takes better care of their deer? It's by the cleanliness of their pens, which include the water, the feed, and also the ground area. And so if you go out, we encourage people to go look at deer farms. And if you're looking for a deer to get in the deer farming business, cleanliness is something you really want to keep in mind. Who you're getting your deer from. Go to a deer farm, and when you take a look at it, if it's clean, those people love their deer, and they're supposed to love their deer, and supposed to keep it clean. A lot of information can be learned from deer breeders, and for example, in many states, there are minimum antler restrictions for hunters, and that's a good thing because what they're trying to do is trying to grow the biggest deer they can. But deer breeders, we can learn a lot, and I want you hunters out there to pay attention to this. This is antlers off a yearling buck, and we're going to show you the progression where if this deer was killed as a yearling, we'd never have what we're going to show you now. But Kevin, go ahead and show them how the progression, the antler growth of this guy.
This is actually Corbin. He, like you said, he is our breed buck, one of them. I've got his first year's rack, second, third, fourth, fifth, and he's still alive in the pen. We have footage of him at 6, but as you can see, from 1 to 2, made a significant jump. And then, like I was saying, now at 3, you start here, and you see you put on a little extra here, a little extra here, starting to get more inches that aren't typical straight off the frame, but still a good looking main frame deer.
Take a look at this. Talk about a jump.
Once again, as he's progressed, he started to put on a few more inches. Not necessarily typical tines, but these are points and a little extra trash, as I call it. But
look at the webbing.
still
look
a main frame.
Look at that.
And then at 5, we actually didn't cut him off. I let him shed his antlers, and he's broke off some points. He had a few extra stickers. If you'll look here, these were broke off, sticking farther out. But he's got more mass, a little longer tine, a little heavier. He's actually cleaned up.
This is 5, and this is 1. And look at that. How amazing is that? So for those hunters out there that don't ever see one of these, the reason why, you're killing one of these, but you're killing them when they're like this. So have some patience, my friends. Have patience. I mean, look at that.
Good things come to those who wait.
Yep.
The amount of time and effort it takes to actually have this operation working is many, many hours. My family is very supporting and understanding. There's a lot of hours out on the farm, taking care of deer, cleaning the pens, mowing. Anyone that loves animals and wants to be a steward of the land, to take a piece of property or even an animal and leave it better than whenever you come in contact with it. We're looking every day to meet the needs and desires of the breeding industry, and you know, I want to be towards the top. That's where we're after.
Coming up next on Deer and Wildlife Stories.
Well, the most important thing private landowners get out of opening their property to nature tourists of all kinds is the ability to keep your ranch intact.
We'll be right back.
Well, the most important thing private landowners get out of opening their property to nature tourists of all kinds is the ability to keep your ranch intact.
It's another avenue to have a off-season type business.
And with the, urbanization and estate tax pressures and property tax pressures and fragmentation issues and the loss of agriculture and agricultural supply industries, it's harder and harder to keep big pieces of land together.
We've got like 4 blinds here on 30 acres. We're fortunate to have a couple of creeks that come through the property, which really help. Block Creek and Elm Bottom Creek, and we have a small pond, which is kind of a magnet to the wildlife. But you can do that even in a backyard situation where you set up a water feature and put out your feeders and put a blind that you can do some moving around inside of the blind without scaring the birds and get your photography done. The cameras today are fabulous, the digital cameras. I would start out with a small point and shoot camera, and not try to get real expensive or real elaborate, and try to learn some of the basics with the inexpensive camera, and then just take it in steps. And once you feel like you've mastered that and you want to go to a little bigger and better, closer image, then you jump up into $1,000 camera. But you don't have to. You can enjoy scenics with a really inexpensive type camera.
This ranch has been in our family for 6 generations, and we'd like to keep it for 6 more, or 12 more, or 18 more generations. So that's what it means to us. It means a continuation of our family heritage. One of the ways that we're going to try to keep this ranch together is to diversify the income, not only with traditional agriculture, but with all forms of nature tourism. Of course, we have hunting and fishing here, but that's not enough. We're going to have to do other forms of nature tourism as well. Well, of course, ecotourism is a huge industry all all over the world, really. But most ecotourism is on public lands. And there are the traditional issues with public lands. That most of them are crowded, most of them are not really secure. But this is a different, on private land, the photography opportunities, they're much more secure, it's much more private. You have a whole ranch basically to yourself. It's kind of like owning a ranch without having to make the payments on the ranch. The responses have really been terrific because people are so accustomed to going to the public places where they've got to, they've got to worry about all the crowds getting in their viewfinder. Of course, the countryside is much more natural. It's not tramped over by, hundreds of or thousands of hikers every weekend, all day long. Hopefully, these destinations will be as popular as some of the public destinations. It is it's such a great experience because they have the place to themselves, and they can roam around, they can do birds, they can take pictures of deer, they can take pictures of sunsets and sunrises and scenery and creeks and flowers and fall colors. The public really enjoys the private experience. We have students out here today. We welcome people to bring their kids. It is definitely a family deal, and what we're trying to put together is the total experience, where it's not just coming and bringing your big lens and taking pictures of painted bunnies. There's something for the whole family to do, including just hiking around and enjoying nature.
Up next, a message from Keith.
We must stand together, united for all hunting. If there's anybody out there looking for a wonderful gift for their outdoorsman, Orange War is it.
We'll be right back. This week's viewer email is brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers and Multi-Terrain Vehicles.
Cheryl Larson is from Missouri. Dear Keith, my husband is an avid outdoorsman and has virtually every gadget on the market, and it's almost impossible to find something he'd enjoy as a gift. A friend of his suggested I order the book Orange War, and I must say it is an incredible read. I think Orange War should be a mandatory read for every American. It has inspired me and my family to get active protecting our rights. If there's anybody out there looking for a wonderful gift for their outdoorsman, Orange War is it. Cheryl, I couldn't agree with you more. Orange War is one of those books that it's a story about what could happen in our country, and unfortunately it looks like some of that stuff is happening today, and it addresses that. And the book is a wonderful read for anybody that is interested in protecting our Second Amendment rights. And Cheryl, it does make a great gift.
If you have a question for Keith, you can submit an email by logging on to keithwarren.net. Now a word from the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance in this week's conservation message.
For more than 230 years, Americans have enjoyed more rights than any other group on earth. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the right to property, and to keep and bear arms. Among those liberties have been the privilege to hunt, how and where we choose, as long as it was legal and ethical. These liberties have long been under assault. There are well-funded groups that want to end all hunting, and they work aggressively to legislate away our hunting traditions. But today, we've reached a new low. Recently, legislation has been introduced and referendum initiatives begun that would criminalize private hunting preserves from erecting high fences to protect property and animals. Unbelievably, these attacks against private property rights have come from hunters who simply don't like the way others hunt, and they partnered with radical activists that publicly advocate national bans on all hunting. Squabbling over petty personal preferences in how we hunt leaves the sport vulnerable to all new restrictions. In some cases, such as dove hunting in Michigan, entire forms of hunting have been banned. If you love to hunt, if you support habitat management and conservation, if you want to raise our kids to be true sportsmen, we must stand together united for all hunting. We must put aside our personal agendas and work together to preserve an American liberty, or we will lose that liberty altogether.
If you would like to know more about what the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance can do for the future of the outdoors, log on to deerwildlifealliance.org. If you would like more information on today's featured operation, log on to their website or give them a call. For more on Keith Warren and show information, log on to keithwarren.net. To learn more about becoming a deer breeder, log on to the North American Deer Farmers Association. Coming up next on Deer and Wildlife Stories.
Our country was founded on small acreage farmers. The percentage of families that live on farms today is drastically reduced from what it was 50 years ago. I am one of the dying breeds of having a family farm, and I'm doing it on about 20 acres. Hey, how'd Keith do?
Oh, come on. Don't put on an apron.
I'm putting on an apron. You gotta put one on too, Keith.
Get out of here. I know how to do this. This is fun. This is when you grow up on a farm or you love farm life, it's just all part of the gig, and it's all fun to me.